Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. HSReplay released already the new data for Murder at Castle Nathria, so it's actually possible to take a look at what has been performing well in the first day of the new expansion, which typically hasn't been possible before, so let's take a look at that. Some caveats first. First of all, it's of course just one day of data, one single day of data. I usually look at 3 days, 7 days, between those looking at trends. And yeah, this is just one day of data, so that's not a lot. And another one, of course, is that you can't see all the decks that have been played, like 10 games or something. But well-marketed theory crafts that get a lot of people playing, they get hundreds of games, then they have a head start, they are more represented in the actual deck lists that are available to check. So knowing good archetypes doesn't necessarily mean we know the exact good lists yet, because there's still some tuning to be done even in the most simple archetypes. Furthermore, in this video I'm going to focus on decks that have some new cards in them, but we can see from the data that there are multiple old decks with 0 new cards that have been doing well on day 1. Murloc Shaman, Mage, Paladin, Aggro Druid, Big Spell Mage, Quest Rogue, that's a lot of old decks that use 0 new cards, and they are all climbing really well on the first day. Also, because there's low data on some of the archetypes, like Naga Priest. HSReplay shows that an archetype selection screen that, hey, okay, well, Naga Priest should be doing well. Yet I cannot find a single Naga Priest list that would actually be doing well. So it can be a little bit challenging to find all the good data this soon in some regards. But anyway, this should still be pretty interesting, so let's take a look at the decks. First of all, at number 7 we have Quest Priest, and Quest Priest got a lot of new cards, and all the new cards are performing really well in this archetype. Sketchy Stranger, Theotar the Mad Duke, Partner in Crime, Cathedral of Atonement, Clean the Scene, The Light It Burns, all are performing really well, so Quest Priest got a huge buff. Our Quest Priest has at least one big problem, because it just cannot beat Druid. I actually tried to play Quest Priest too, and I met some Druids, and that didn't feel well. But if I had persevered and played lots of games, then apparently Quest Priest should be doing well overall, as long as you can dodge those Druids. And coming in at number 6 we have Control Shaman. Control Shaman is kind of doing okay. The new cards that it got, it's using the Sire Denatrius combo, Sire Denatrius, Bram Bone Spirit, Kale Sin Strider, so you can get that Sire Denatrius out there. It's using Theotar the Mad Duke to get rid of some of the opponent's key cards. And all these 3 new cards that are used in Control Shaman, they're kind of mediocre. They're right at the middle of the pack in performance. But it seems that they're still doing okay, and well, Control Shaman, Druids make a lot of tokens, Control Shaman can freeze the board 4 times. So yeah, Control Shaman even has a game against that Druid deck. Maybe not the greatest game, but a game nonetheless. Coming in at number 5 is Quest Hunter. Quest Hunter decks without using any of the new cards are still also doing fine, and Quest Hunter lists that are using new cards, they're typically using Wild Spirits and Stagger Charge, and those 2 cards are the strongest cards of these Wild Seed cards. Clearly, they're doing really well in Quest Hunter, and they also have a place in many other Hunter archetypes. Like in Beast Hunter is now experimenting with the Wild Seed package, and I'm starting to get the impression that maybe it will use a partial Wild Seed package in the end. Because Wild Spirits and Stagger Charge are doing really well in the deck, Huntsman Altimore is doing well in the deck, well that's not part of the Wild Seed package but a new card, and Batty Guest is actually a really crazy good 1-drop, doing incredibly well in Beast Hunter. But then again, some other cards like Castle Kennels and Aralon and Spirit Poacher have not been doing that well, so possibly we're just going to see a couple of these Wild Seed cards being used, not so much for the general Wild Seed synergy, but because they're just good cards. The others will maybe be ditched over time. The third best new deck is Skeleton Mage, and in Skeleton Mage, looking at statistics, Nightcloak Sanctum is just as crazy as was expected. I mean, it is a card that you want to put in every mage deck pretty much, it's totally bonkers. On the other hand, Commander Sivara has not been doing well at all, seems to be a really weak card. It's hard to save those spells in your hand so that you can play them for Sivara. And then there's 2 versions of Skeleton Mage. There's this pink version with Kel'Thuzad Mordrash, Magister Dawngrasp. There's also a possibility to play with Kel'Thuzad and then Sire Denatrius, ditch the hero card, ditch the Wildfire, ditch that hero power synergy, but you shouldn't. This pink version is doing far better than the Sire list, so pink Mage with skeletons seems to be the way to go. And the best performing versions of this deck currently do not use Prince Renatal. The consistency that you get from having just 30 cards in your deck seems to be more important than the 10 health that you can get from Prince Renatal. Mage has always been kind of borderline case. In some metagames you want that Renatal, you want that health, in some metagames you want that consistency, and right now it looks like consistency trumps health. But the top 2 decks are really in a league of their own, and coming in at number 2 is Ramp Druid, and what can I say, Topiary the Shrubagazer is just totally busted. It is super strong. Another card that was a bit of a surprise to me, I think it was Vicious Syndicate's proposal to include Insatiable Devourer, because it benefits from the infused mechanic, and it seems to be a good fit, so they got that one right. On the other hand, then Dosing Kelpkeeper, trying to get some of that early game going with that one, that seems to be a failure. It seems really weak. Natural Causes of the new cards is the one that is the most questionable. It doesn't seem to perform too well. I'm not yet sure if that's going to stay. The other ones like Planted Evidence is really good, but Natural Causes might be ditched at some point. And Ramp Druid is just super strong. It totally obliterates any kind of control-ish deck. And basically right now it looks like it only loses to Imp Warlock. It just beats everything else. Only Imp Warlock has enough power to push through, is fast enough to push through and beat Ramp Druid. The best deck in the game right now, Imp Warlock. There are a couple of different versions of Imp Warlock around, and none of them are completely optimal. Like Sea Giant, some of the versions are not running Sea Giant, but that is a mistake. Sea Giant is super strong in Imp Warlock. On the other hand, all of these lists that are running Sea Giant are running stuff like Starfish and Iron Deep Trog, and they do not look strong at all. On the other hand, many lists that are cutting those are running stuff like Okani and Piggyback Imp in their stead, and those don't look any better. So there's a couple of slots there that need to be solved before this one is completely done, but overall it looks like it's fairly fine-tuned already. It's really super strong. Its only weakness at the moment is Priest. And yeah, so we have this Druid beats everything but Imp Warlock beats everything but Priest, and Priest, well, it loses to Druid and it loses to some other stuff too, but it beats a bunch of stuff and then it beats Imp Warlock. That's sort of kind of triangle. And comparing the new decks to the old, Imp Warlock and Ramp Druid are clearly stronger than any of the old decks. They are by far the 2 best decks in the format at the moment. As for the other slots, there might be some competition between the old and new decks, but we'll know more when we get a little bit more data. This is just 1 day of data, but it is kind of indicative on where the meta is headed overall. So if you want to win a lot of games right now, choose Imp Warlock or choose Ramp Druid, because they are seriously strong. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.